Hello guys and gals, and welcome back to another episode of Haunted Gaming. This time we return back to the land of gaming creepypastas and cover one called Fallout 3, Hunted. Hey there, my name is Jason, and I'm 23 years old. I'm writing this because, well, let's just say I really think about morality, even in video games. It was 2 years after the release of Fallout 3. By this point in time, I'd modded the game all to hell and essentially had a lot going on in the game, from super-powered weapons and high-tech armor, to new NPCs and buildings. I'd been doing this for a while and decided to make an evil character this time. With a killable children mod installed and all the essential NPCs turned off, I could essentially travel anywhere and slaughter anybody I pleased, with little repercussions. Sure, the regulators would make an appearance every once in a while to tell me what a bastard I was and how I will pay for my crimes. You know, the usual crap you hear spewed from their cross, like it meant a bloody thing. I loved it though. Sometimes I would try to get a drop on the regulators with a sniper rifle or a mini nuke launcher. I was the hunter in the game. Raiders, regulators, children, shopkeepers, you name it, I've hunted and killed it. Sometimes I felt it was a little boring, so I'd handicap myself from time to time to keep it interesting. You know, take on some Deathclaws and Enclave soldiers with only a melee weapon and no armor. Something to that effect. Anyways, it was just another Sunday afternoon and I had nothing else to do. I decided to go on Girdershire and kill off Ronald and Sierra and nick all their crap for shits and giggles. I loaded up a shotgun, an assault rifle, a sniper rifle, and a combat knife, and I wore the Chinese stealth suit. I decided that would be far more than enough to thoroughly obliterate those two. I used a fast travel to go just outside of Girdershire. As I approached the boundaries of the small shanty town, I felt like there was an NPC over by some dead trees and rocks off in the distance. I figured it was probably nothing, and even if it was an NPC, it was probably just some traitor or a random encounter or something of the like. I continued on and entered Girdershire, killing Ronald and Sierra and stealing some Nuka-Cola stuff I figured I could sell later. I exited Sierra's house and looked over to where I saw the NPC. The NPC was no longer there, so I decided to wander over there anyways to see if they were still nearby or something. As it hadn't taken me very long to turn Girdershire into Nuka-Cola Ghost Town. I saw nobody there and was about to turn around when suddenly a notification popped on my screen. It said, "As you turn away, you notice a small note on the ground." The note says simply 3 words: "Come to Dunwich." I closed the prompt and I sat in my chair and I thought that, what could that have possibly been about? I figured it must have been an old quest mod that I'd probably previously had installed and figured it might have been fun. Essentially more people or ghouls to hunt down, pretty much. I decided to head over to the Dunwich building and see what this was all about. As I approached, I decided to play it a little bit safe, as if this was a quest mod. I don't know what enemies would be lurking around. I took out the sniper rifle and studied the surroundings. It all looked pretty normal. No NPCs wandering around, no enemies of any sort. I put my sniper rifle away and decided to use my shotgun, as it was close quarters in there and made the most sense. I opened the door and entered the building. It all looked pretty normal at this point. No new ambience, music, NPCs. It was all just the same. I started to wander through the building, prepping myself for an encounter with the enemies in there, mostly feral ghouls. I decided to crouch into stealth mode and wander around to hunt them. As I got further and further into the building, I noticed something. There were no enemies at all, nothing. I exited stealth mode and looked around the rooms one by one. There was absolutely nothing. I mean, all the stuff was still there, but no ghouls. I began to wonder if this was part of the mod, that I would run into a new kind of enemy in there, you know, one that would have tons of enemies deeper into the building, something like that. I started to go deeper down when suddenly I heard a very faint whispering coming from down the hall into the room with a closed door. This is probably part of the mod. I figured it could be a horror mod or something. I enjoyed, you know, that kind of stuff. So I slowly walked down the hall, readying my shotgun. I got outside the door and I opened it to find nothing. There was nothing in there. I sat hunched in my chair, scratching my head, wondering what the hell that was about. As I started to walk into the room, I quickly stopped and looked down. There on the ground was a barely visible trip wire. This tripwire was different from the others normally found in the game. It looked like fishing wire, damn near transparent. If I hadn't been alert and paying attention, I would have tripped the wire. I knelt down and safely disabled the trap. I walked around the corner to see what would have set off, and my heart stopped. It was a nuke, like the one in Megaton. I walked up to it and a prompt came up saying there was a note attached to the bomb. It said, "Well, you survived the first trap, kudos. Can you keep going, I wonder?" I stared at the prompt for a while. What in the bloody hell kind of a mod was this? It was unique, I'd give it that, but I hadn't seen a mod use a nuke like this before. I simply shrugged it off as a really overzealous modder and continued on my way. As I got down to the depths of the Dunwich building, I found something that was a little comforting. It was one of the notes that the scientist turned ghoul. I picked it up and listened to it. as it was familiar enough to keep me going. I played out as normal until I noticed that even after the message was supposed to have ended, there was still 15 seconds left on the tape. I wondered how the hell someone could have modded this, when suddenly the tape played the same goddamn whispering I heard previously from the room upstairs. It kept going for 8 seconds and it just stopped. When there was only 3 seconds left, the tape suddenly let out this loud, piercing scream, like someone was being attacked. I damn near fell out of my chair. After the tape stopped, I got pissed. Really? A fucking jump scare? That's the best they can come up with, fucking amateurs. I was just about to leave the room and suddenly, outside the door and down the hall, I heard footsteps. They were slow but loud, and they echoed, and they were slowly getting closer. I aimed my shotgun at the door, waiting for whatever was outside to open the door and attack. I figured this was it, the boss of the quest or some shit. But nothing happened. There was no red blip on the compass, nothing opened the door, there was just a shadow outside. Standing there, doing and saying nothing. I stared at the door for what felt like hours, even though it was a mere seconds. What the hell was this? Who could code the AI in the mod to be this good? I decided that I would try something else. I still had some mines that I had picked up and decided to use them. I planted them in front of the door, I entered stealth mode and opened the door to find nothing. There was nothing there at all. I started to get furious. What the hell kind of a troll quest mod was this? Nothing had happened. All that was happening so far was someone was fucking with me, and I was getting pretty damn sick of it. At this point I just decided to leave. I went back through the building and was just about to reach the exit when suddenly I heard the footsteps, except this time they weren't slow. They were fast. Something was bolting towards me at a rate I didn't think NPCs could move in this game. I heard the mine in one room go off and the footsteps didn't stop. They got louder. Whatever it was just got closer. I decided to bail and wait outside with my sniper rifle instead, and catch this prick by surprise. I ran outside of the building and stood there watching on the hill, waiting for this asshole to come out so he could get shot in the face. Repeatedly, I watched and nothing. I sighed. This is stupid. I gave up and decided to fast travel back to Tenpenny Tower. I went inside and there was nobody there. No guards, no people, nothing. I was confused. Did my game severely glitch out or something? What was all this crap happening? I decided I would let my character go upstairs. I'd save it and figure it out later. I went up to my suite and entered the room. It was dark, very dark. I turned on my Pip-Boy light and there was a trail of dark liquid on the ground, leading to the modded parlor. I took out my shotgun and decided to see what the hell this was and why my game was so screwed up. I walked into the parlor and my mouth fell wide open. On the wall, scrawled in blood was one word: Hunter. I saw the heads of every single fucking NPC I had killed. Man, woman, and child stacked on the pool table. I looked around. There were the corpses of animals sprawled on the floor. I started to back out of the room when I heard a slight creak behind me. I spun around and saw an NPC. It was me, the actual me. Except he was paler with darker hair and those cold, soulless eyes. He stabbed my character in the gut with a knife, immediately taking my full health from to zero down there. As my character gurgled and thrashed, collapsing in a heap, he looked dead into my character's eyes, as if he was looking at me and said, "How does it feel, being the hunted? To know how they felt, right before you ended their existences like they were fucking nothing. This is only a warning. Next time, I come to hunt you." The game suddenly crashed back to desktop. I stared in silence at my computer monitor, before walking over to my fridge, grabbing the whiskey and drinking myself stupid until I passed out. From the day forward, I've never played a game as an evil character again. I'm always doing the good and right thing. I'm always helpful, I only fight against those who are themselves evil, and every time I think of crossing that line and being evil even for a second, I swear, outside my door in the hallway, I can hear footsteps. Just walking outside, waiting for me to slip up. Alrighty then, so how was that? I believe this is our second Fallout creepypasta, first one being Number Station. Now, as far as cliches go, it had its mutilation and whatnot, but, honestly, I'll let that slide, because, you can't avoid blood and gore and all that stuff. It's part of the whole thing. It's a mood setter. The only reason I'm against it is usually when it's, overthrown in there, when it just kills the whole mood, because it has to be used with finesse. With that being said, it was fine here for descriptive and tone-setting purposes. Now, the whole shtick, rather, for the creepypasta was the overarching idea of morality. In today's day and age, and even back in the day, morality is heavily used as a concept to demonstrate freedom in choice and actions through games. Fallout uses this to great effect, issuing a karma system that works to great effect, including, in deciding choice and setting repercussions. It's a good system. That's sort of one of the core concepts. What I like about a good creepypasta is using an already present tool, like that Carmen morality concept, and simply adjusting and working around it to make it eerie rather than, resort to acts of violence and gore and whatnot. Now, the game was modded, and if you don't know, Fallout, like the Elder Scrolls, or rather Bethesda games, have very heavy modding communities, working to create weapons, quests, and locations around the clock. And literally every day new mods are being made. It's astonishing. So when you hear a phenomenon like this, it's really possible due to the modding tools that are given by Bethesda. The only reason you got these incredible mods is because of these tools that have been offered. And through these tools, these kind of creepypasta moments seem very real in Elder Scroll and Fallout games. Now, could it be real? Again, I think that and a mod like this can exist to deactivate NPCs, activate certain AI patterns, even rather script AI patterns. I've seen some of that. And spawn killed, you can have a mod that spawns these killed NPCs in your home or any location rather. Now severed heads, that kind of stuff, and bodies, I think they need their own models, or they can use the decapitated variants in the game, whenever you go into the vats. But all in all, I really think this is realistic, from a technical standpoint. And, if you have a heavily modded game, that it could work. You could see it happen, and like I said, the player here, the protagonist, had a modded game, and that's why this creepypasta works. See, morality is often questioned in creepypastas, and Fallout serves as a great tool in showing that it's a game that uses this to great effect. Realistically, again, like I said, I'm going to stress this again, the technicals make sense, and that's one of the important things in a gaming creepypasta. You can't just resort to, this game was modded or demons infested and whatnot. If it makes sense, it makes sense. That's why there's really good creepypastas out there. I'll go back to one, Super Smash Brothers Hidaka. It really went into the technical side of what the creepypasta was about. I mean, yes, it was about the serial killer, but the technicals worked properly at the time. But yeah, what would you rate this and what would you change to make it better? This has been another episode of Haunted Gaming, and if you like what you saw, then like, comment, and subscribe. This is me, Mudahar, and I am out.